case you didn't know, today, March 31st, is Trans Day of Visibility. So it felt like the perfect day to talk about my own journey as a non-binary, non-gender person. I remember being really young. I was raised in a very strict Christian household, but I remember being so worried that I was supposed to be born a boy. Until recent years, I just kind of dismissed it like, oh, I just had brothers and I thought that I was just supposed to be like them. I didn't have any sisters. The first time I remember hearing the word trans, I was in Seattle with my dad and we were at a McDonald's and there was a cashier who was obviously trans. Well, obviously to my dad. I didn't really notice or care. My dad was more of a judgmental person than I was. So he made some sort of rude comment like, oh, well, you can tell by the hands, or something like that. Like, he's like, you can look at their hands and tell that's actually a man, that's not a woman. I remember feeling bothered that it bothered him. To me, even as a kid who had no knowledge of what trans was, I just felt like that's their own personal decision, and who are we to judge that? The way my body is built, I'm a naturally muscular person. So I carried a lot of shame about that, being raised in an environment where I was told that, girls are this way, boys are this way, and girls like boys and boys like girls, and that's it. There's no other option. I literally was living in a bubble in my younger years. I went to church, I went to Christian school, I went to youth group. I had no contact with anyone outside of Christianity. I was only allowed to listen to Christian and country music, and my parents were very careful about monitoring and making sure I wasn't, sneaking it and doing it behind their back. And if I did get caught doing something I wasn't supposed to, such as like reading Harry Potter, for example, I would get grounded or spanked or punished in some other way. I remember him forbidding me to talk about sex with people. He said it was inappropriate to even talk about that with my friends. He also told me that homosexuals were the same as child molesters, and that if you are homosexual, you are literally disgusting and perverted. There was even a situation right after high school where one of my best friends came out of the closet, and my dad said he wasn't allowed to come into our house anymore. So needless to say, gender identity was not something I could talk about with my family. There's more to the story, so I'm gonna have to do a part 2. So right after high school, I ended up going into an internship to be like a Christian pastor. I had so many issues with Christianity and Christians, but I was determined to change things from the inside. That definitely did not work, and I ended up leaving the church when I was 21. Technically, they kicked me out for drinking alcohol on my 21st birthday and having a picture of it on Facebook. At the time, I was enraged at the injustice because the Bible does not say you're not allowed to drink alcohol. But I already had so many other issues with the church that I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Bye. And I left and I said, you know what? This is my opportunity to start living my life the way I want to. Start living my life and honoring all the things within me that I feel are true or right. Once I was free from the judgmental eyes of those religious people, I was able to really look at myself more honestly. So fast forward a couple years, I got all the partying out of my system, and I really wanted to explore my own gender identity, as well as my preference when it comes to romantic partners. It was never safe to do so before, but now that I was basically starting my life over, I had no friends because all of them were in the church, so I just got to kind of start over. I do just want to pause really quick though and just take a moment of silence for all of those that are still stuck and trapped in religious programming. By the time I turned 25, I said enough is enough. I am not saving myself for my soulmate any longer because I have no idea when they're going to show up. So I found some dude on Tinder and did that for the first time. And that was a huge step in freeing myself from the shackles of judgment and shame and fear. No joke, 2 weeks after that experience, I moved to California by myself with all my stuff, with no job, just maybe $2,000. I was like, I'm just doing it. I got to get out of here. I've got to figure out who I am and why I feel the way I do. Even though I was no longer part of the church, I was still surrounded by people, and my social media was still full of people who were part of the church and who kept me in that box of who I used to be. All I knew for sure is that I was not straight, and I was not like all of the girls that I knew. I'm gonna have to post part 3. Once I got to California, everything changed. Finally, there was no annoying ass Christians hovering over me and watching my every move. I started exploring my gender identity by going on queer dating apps. I just kind of looked at first, just like saw the different types of people on there, and just to kind of see what do non-straight people look like, talk like, act like. Pretty quickly, I realized that I fit in really well with the queer community. I think I looked at women on dating apps for a few years before I ever actually talked to someone that I was, like a woman that I was attracted to. And then when I actually went on like my first date with a woman was only a couple of years ago. I've always been very independent, not really a relationship type of person. So I wasn't looking for a relationship. I was just looking to explore and meet people and have fun. I met my first official girlfriend in rehab, which was a terrible idea, but it was a karmic relationship that I needed to experience. I had a lot of healing and growth to do, and it helped me face my shadows and learn how to stand up for myself. This was in 2018. 2018 was also the first time that I told people in my family that I was queer. Fast forward to 2020, and I finally cut all my hair off. I had been wanting short hair for a while, but I was still not confident in my, non-gender, non-binariness, and I felt very worried that I would not be attractive with short hair. Before I ever heard the term non-binary, I heard the term two-spirit, which is a Native American term. I really resonated with that, and then in 2020 I heard the term non-binary and everything just started to make sense. 2020 was also the first time that I willingly allowed someone to touch my face when I had not shaved. I've always had a lot of facial hair and started shaving my face in high school. It was one of those things where I didn't want anyone to know, so I would do it every single day, and then I would wear makeup every single day so that no one could see any shadow or anything. So in 2020, I was like, you know what? This is who I fucking am, dude. My face will always be this way. I mean, maybe not. Maybe if I get my hormones and adrenal glands all situated, maybe I'll have less facial hair, but I feel like this is just how my face is. And today, I could not be more in love with myself.